Little bonus video for you guys today. Actually, it's a pretty long one. We're gonna be doing a full vehicle tour of our entire collection. So ranging from our cars, trucks, to even the off-road vehicles. We have over 80 vehicles that we're gonna be showing you guys today, and all of them are unique. So without further ado, we're gonna start with my personal GTR. This is a 2017 Nissan GTR. It's the fastest car in the fleet before Ken's Tesla came in. It actually shoots flames. It's pretty highly modified. It's running around 675 horsepower to the wheels. It's like basically my dream car. I've wanted a GTR since I was a kid, and this is the exact spec I wanted with the red interior. I obviously did it up on the outside with the wheels, lowered it down, Nismo wing, Nismo bumper, carbon fiber all around from the side skirts, the front lip, pretty much anywhere where you can put carbon fiber on it. I actually was forced to have to get a new bumper because I melted it off shooting flames out the back. I plan on keeping this car around for a while just because honestly, I just think it's one of the best bang for your buck vehicles. It's all-wheel drive, and for the most part, can beat just about anything on the street, especially around here. Moving on, a car not so fast, maybe not so good looking from close-up looks, is our fake Lamborghini Diablo. So we actually went to Washington to get this 2 years ago. It costed $24,000, which is a terrible deal if you're not a YouTuber that is planning on making videos with it. But we've had a lot of fun with this thing. Basically, anywhere you go with it, people think it's real, and they come and take pictures with it. So we like to play pranks on them and mess with them. But I mean, this thing is about as shitty as can be. The seats aren't bolted to the ground. There's no airbag. It's just kind of a hunk, but it's cool, and that's why we got it. So Lamborghini doors, better than Ben's Lamborghini. He can't do this, and his is real. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've had that car for a while. Probably not worth selling if we could even find someone who wants to buy it. So we're probably gonna have that for forever. All right, moving on. We have our 2017 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van that has been luxury converted. We bought this thing used, so we didn't do this ourselves. There's quite a bit of companies in the United States that actually just do this. But yeah, like I said, we got it used because it was much cheaper. And this thing is pretty much essential for our crew, being that we normally have such a posse we're rolling around with. You just kind of need it. It fits everyone in one vehicle. But something really cool about this is it came with Wi-Fi, so you can watch YouTube on like the TVs. You got TV in the front, TV in the back, and then a little mini bar back here. So it is legal to actually drink in here because it's got the divider. On the weekends, it kind of doubles as our sober cab. We love this thing. Honestly, this is probably our most used vehicle in the fleet, believe it or not. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we like to have fun. And then it also is a diesel, so we can pull like our dirt bike trailer. We haven't really tried anything heavier than that just because we don't want to break it. It's really a useful vehicle for us.
And when the loads get too big for the Sprinter van, we have our Cummins turbo diesel dually Ranger. It's a 1999, but underneath it's a 1992 Dodge D250 with a 4BT motor. It rolls coal. It's got a hood stack out the back, the Napa hat up on top. This is a forever vehicle for our crew. We found the Ranger a few years ago and we fell in love with it, honestly. It's the best truck ever made.
With this truck, before it had anything done to it, we actually pulled our SEMA truck, and from there we decided we needed to dually convert it because it was such a towing rig. Now it actually is a certified towing rig.
It's a great truck now, but we wish that we would have done it on basically anything but a 99 Rust Bucket Ranger. It's rusty, but it's our Rust Bucket, you know?
Exactly. Honestly, that's what I like about it. It has character. It's got the manual shifter inside, the cloth seats. If you start pulling on the quarter panels here, or on the kicker panels, they just come apart.
Easy. We're running out of that. We're running out of that. And of course, the Cummins turbo diesel badge.
This is truly one of one. Anybody can go out and buy, I'd say, any of the other vehicles you've seen, but probably not the Shambo either. But this one is like truly hundreds of hours put into building it.
Next up, we have my 2023 Ram TRX. I actually had one before and I sold it. It was a big mistake. I regretted it immediately and basically spent the next few months looking for another one for sale. So I picked this one up. It's fairly stock motor wise because 702 horsepower is plenty, but I did paint match the grille, the bumper, and the fender flares, which I think makes it look a lot better. I put a lift kit in it so it could fit the 37 by 13.5 inch tires with 20s, of course. So it's a nice mix of a street truck and an off-road truck.
This is hands down, like, besides for the Cummins Ranger, the coolest truck that you can buy.
The only thing not cool about it is the 9 miles per gallon that it gets.
I looked it up. It's actually the least fuel efficient vehicle that they made in 2023.
So if you stay through the rest of the tour, you'll actually find out Ryan has both ends of the least efficient vehicles with the gasoline and electric. So stay tuned.
All right, up next, we've got my 2015 Lamborghini Huracan. This has been a dream car of mine. You know, since I was a little kid, I had the posters of Lamborghinis on my walls. So to make it a reality, it's really cool. Thank you guys for watching and helping me make it a reality. It's fairly stock. Ride height is stock. It rides really well, actually, and it's got a front lift, so I don't scrape, which is nice because it's so low, and it's a very expensive front bumper. I threw new wheels on it. Went with the gold. I think it looks really good with the white. I've got red interior on this thing, so it's red Alcantara, and this thing's pretty much a spaceship. It's actually not even the second fastest car in the fleet. You'd think buying a Lamborghini you'd be fast, and then you get beat by a Nissan and an electric Tesla. Aftermarket forged carbon fiber rear wing on it, and it's all-wheel drive. So I'm gonna try and maybe get some snow tires, drive it this winter. It's still up in the air, but I think that'd be pretty cool. Stock exhaust, but it's pretty cool. And it still backfires. So good, dude. V10, 610 horsepower, and absolutely love this thing.
All right, moving on. We have our 2019 Ford F-350 show truck. It was actually built for SEMA by a company called Custom Offsets, and they spared absolutely zero expenses doing this build. Obviously, it's massive. It's got an 8-inch lift on it, 26-inch wheels with 40-inch tires on it. The whole underside has been powder coated just to match the wheels. Front bumper, aftermarket headlights. Yeah, tint all the way around, full deleted exhaust.
Train horns.
Train horns. Basically everything that you would put on a show truck has been done to this thing. It's got plenty of power to still get up and go. It's actually the fastest diesel truck in our fleet. Big Gen Y drop hitch on it, and then as far as the interior goes, pretty much fully loaded. Big drop down steps, which you need just to get up in it. Full moonroof, little dial tuner to turn up the horsepower if you're trying to pull something heavy. It's only got 21,000 miles on it, and we are actually going to be listing it for sale on carsandbids.com.
So like CJ said, we're selling this thing on Cars and Bids, which is actually the sponsor of today's video. So Cars and Bids is the ultimate online marketplace for modern enthusiast cars from 1981 and up, which is the perfect place to sell something like this. They've got over 465,000 users, so plenty of eyeballs on your vehicle that you're selling. Over 16,000 auctions closed with an 85% sale rate. So we have very good odds of finding a new owner for this. If you choose to list a vehicle on Cars and Bids for yourself, the seller pays nothing and the buyer pays 4.5%, capped at a $4,500 rate. So you get a great deal as well.
And it also was founded by YouTube legend Doug DeMero. We all know who he is. Pretty cool that we're gonna be working with him on getting this thing a new home. The reason why we are selling it, as I said earlier, we only have 20,000 miles on this thing, and we've owned it for 3 years. This is a truck that should be used or just at least taken to shows. In our case, it kind of just sits in storage for 11 months out of the year.
We drove it twice last year.
Which is sad.
We drove it twice in the last
sad.
365 days.
And it's super fun. I would say that driving this truck is the equivalent of driving Ben's Lamborghini. You get so much attention in it. I'd say maybe even more. It handles fantastic. Like I said, the guys at Custom Offset that built it, they knew what they were doing. You can tow with it. You can do anything that a normal truck can do. It just looks extremely
way more baller.
If you guys are interested, you can bid on it. carsandbids.com. It's gonna be sad to see this thing go. Moving on, we have my 2015 Mitsubishi Evo X. This is the last of the Evos. If you guys are tuner car guys, you'd know obviously Evos are kind of a staple in that space. I pretty much have modified this thing in all aspects, and I'm probably gonna hold on to it forever, even though I don't drive it that much. All right, moving on. Evan's 1985 El Camino that we surprised him with recently. We donked it out because Evan's a hood rat, and he deserved a proper donk to ride around in. So anyways, it's sitting on 24-inch wheels, custom powder coated with the tiniest rubber band tires that we could fit on them. Lifted up on a 3 or 4-inch lift. Evan souped it up by putting in some subs. Fully restored interior, actually been updated, I think.
I also keep my mask on me in case I need it for anything. The real reason I've always loved El Caminos is because it's one of the only cars that you can put dirt bikes in the back of.
The verdict's still yet to be decided on if Evan likes it more donked out or stock.
I like it more donked out than stock, but I think there is also a lot of potential for this car going any direction.
It was extremely mint when we initially got it, and it still is mint now. It's just a completely different demographic that thinks it's cool.
Moving on to the 350Z LS Swap Turbo. Let's just be real here, guys. I have not spent enough time in this car to prove myself, to prove anything, to prove the fact that I even bought it. What I should have done was get a Miata with no turbo and just learn how to drift. But anyway, haven't spent enough time in the car. I still love it, and I'm gonna keep it because you guys know I don't sell anything. So yeah, she's got a LS and a turbo, got a big old wing on it. We got racing seats in there now. We got a nice wheel. We got a hydraulic brake. It is everything you could ever ask for out of a drift car. I just don't have the skill to match it. So I have no excuses.
Hey, there's no better vehicle to do a donut with in our parking lot than Mike's fully built drift car.
No, there is. You're standing in front of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. So this car costed roughly $30,000. This was $5,000. And all we did was just weld the diff on this thing. And it is a drifting machine. We ended up taking it to the track with Mike's newly built drift car. And this thing actually ended up outshining the 350Z. So this is a 1989 Miata. So I ended up being proven wrong as well with this Miata, just because I've kind of always thought they were lame. You just think, I mean, low horsepower, look kind of weird, they're small. Most of the people that drive around in them aren't that cool, but this is a fantastic car. It's not fast, but it's just a great driving car.
You feel cool driving it, you don't look cool driving it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we didn't drift it though, it would be a worthless car.
Yeah, we also found out that Ev was an absolute wheelman behind the wheel of the Miata, wall tapping. Like, honestly, before that, we didn't even know Evan could drive. Mike, you should just sell your drift car and just buy 10 Miatas. It's the same price.
Deal. Hey, tell them about this fine Raptor you got here.
One of my favorite vehicles in the fleet, the 2012 Raptor. I know the guys give me a lot of crap that I don't like it. I actually do love this truck. It has been nothing but good to me. I absolutely love the fact that it has a V8, unlike all these other Raptors sitting around the parking lot.
If you haven't seen the video of how we surprised Evan with this truck, we stole his daily driver Chev at the time out of the parking lot and convinced him that it was stolen. And then when we went on the recovery mission, this was parked up next to it.
It was a great surprise and also like the best prank. Like the most I've ever been convinced that I really was screwed and my truck was stolen.
You find out that your truck wasn't actually stolen, you're pretty stoked. You find out that you got a Raptor out of the deal, even better.
And the Chevy's still around, still running strong till today. You saw the donk and you saw my Raptor, but this is my real pride and joy right here. The 09 Silveruti, never really need to wash it because it's a work truck, gets the job done every time.
It's so good. I mean, it's been a joke over the last year of like Ev pulling up in the Silveruti and trying to do you know, things that it shouldn't do. Time after time, it has surprised us and amazed us. Like last week, he drove over 2 cars with this thing.
And it also can really catch some airtime when he wants to.
Onto my truck. This is a 2019 Ford Raptor. Paint match fender flares along with paint match front and rear ADD bumper. Some 35-inch tires with 17-inch fuel wheels. They're red. Boys give me a lot of shit for it, but I personally think that it looks pretty sweet on the white. Just like all of Evan's other trucks, he's also abused my truck.
I've actually abused your Raptor so much more than my own Raptor.
I know, it's sad. So on the front here, I've got a pretty nice gouge taken out of the bumper from when Evan drove a golf cart into it. On the rear tail light's got a hole in it, along with the truck bed from the tow hook of Evan's Silveruti coming through it. And we also found out that this thing flies through the air pretty good. Great rig. Honestly, from pretty much a fairly stock truck, it's held up great. Not quite as good as the Silveruti, but for a Ford, pretty good. All right, on to the workhorses of the company, the mini trucks. So right now we've got 2 sitting here, but we've actually got 3. The other one is in the shop right now, getting a little bit of a renovation and a motor swap done to it. But these are the absolute best vehicles that we have. We use them as work trucks. We load up the beds with equipment that we need out at the track. These things are truly great. So they're imported from Japan. They're actually called K trucks, and we found out that they can front flip pretty well too. So on this one, we've got a roll bar on it, so it didn't mess up the cab or the box or anything. It just messed up the entire frame and my back and neck for life.
Come on, come on, come on! Go, go, go! Yeah!
But other than that, it still drives and runs great.
So yeah, big things to come with the mini trucks. Like Ben said, we have one in the shop right now, getting some modifications done to it, you might say. And yeah, we love these things. Pretty cheap, very sturdy, always reliable.
All right, we got the Bronco here, the green Bronco. So originally Ken got a Bronco. I copied him. I had to because I liked it a lot. I've done a lot to it. I'm not gonna go through the whole list. Lately, the hood got smashed by a bunch of snow off of the spring snow coming off the roof last year, so I got a new hood. But other than that, bumpers, grill, lights, wheels, interior, light bars, dude, like everything. You know I can't keep a car stock, so I just went overkill on it. I'm a little bit sad to see it go, but I'm actually selling this to Ryan's dad. He's gonna take it to Florida. So if you guys see it rolling around Florida in the next couple months, it's mine. I got another better and bigger rig coming, so stay tuned for that. On the subject of my cars, of course, we have the 2003 WRX. She's wide bodied. It's one of the few in this yellow paint, and it's STI now. I swapped it after I blew my transmission racing Ken. It was a really unfortunate thing, and like I've said before, like, it's not worth swapping to an STI. If you're looking at an STI, just get an STI. This thing's got all the parts: built motor, wheels, wing, everything, carbon fiber hood, aftermarket lights. I love it. I hope to give it to my kids someday, and this is another problem that I probably will have to face one day, but I can't get rid of my shit. Like,
I think the next thing you buy, Mike, is just a storage unit.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get a storage unit before I buy any more cars. I got big aspirations here, but I can't get rid of anything, so.
All right, on to our 2014 Subaru WRX hatchback. We bought this thing from a dealership. It was in pretty much immaculate condition, and I think in 35 minutes flat, it now looks like this, thanks to the help of this guy.
I think I'm really the only one that drove it, so you know, it's not my car, but I feel like it's my fault what happened to it.
He was doing his job and he did a great job. So the reason we wanted to get this is because everyone's always dreamed of taking a Subaru WRX, which is a rally car, and actually driving it like a rally car should be driven. So after we filmed the first video with it, Evan jumped it, blew the front end off. We thought blew up the motor. We got everything fixed, and we've got a bunch of parts in the shop over there to finish this rally build. So stay tuned for the rally build coming on this, and see what else we do with this thing.
Yeah, we basically found out the Subaru WRXs aren't meant for rallying.
After an extensive 30 minutes of testing,
Yeah.
we came to that conclusion.
It was a very short testing period.
Speaking of testing periods, over here we have our Polaris Slingshot. So these things are pretty much just made for being on the road, but like everything else that we buy, we took it off-road and we did things that we weren't supposed to do with it, and it did really well, honestly. It jumped well. They are tippy, three-wheeled. It did roll, but you're gonna have that, but it does everything pretty well except for go through sand, which we found out. We brought it to Glamis Sand Dunes in California, and we ended up blowing 3 belts off the back. So other than that, this thing has done a pretty good job for the places that we've taken it and the things that we've put it through.
All right, and on to my favorite car. It's my 2022 Tesla Model X Plaid. It's actually the fastest car in the fleet.
Hard to believe from the looks.
It's a minivan, but it gets there way faster than anything else.
It's disgustingly fast. It's 0 to 60 in what, 1.9?
Yeah, like 2 seconds.
Dubbed the clip over of the Lamborghini racing this thing. It looked like Ben wasn't even trying, but he was pedal to the floor.
I don't know why we have to make that every single time, dude.
Hey, she might not be the coolest car in the parking lot, but she can be the fastest.
At least he knows that. Teslas are obviously ahead of their time with their technology that they have in it, but this thing is straight up insane. Every time I ride with Ken, I'm amazed with it.
It's a little scary to have the autopilot drive for you, but you get comfortable with it pretty quick. And then on to my other car. It's my 2023 Bronco Raptor. It's got the roof delete on it. Ford can't get me a roof, so I'm just whipping around with no roof on it.
For Ken having 2 new vehicles, he has more problems with them than anyone else in the fleet, probably combined.
I think he's just the pickiest.
I can't tell if it's just me being picky or if it's just every car I have is a piece of shit.
Yeah, dude, they're such pieces of shit.
But it's the most beautiful car. I waited 2 years for it. I wanted the orange on the blue interior. It is my favorite color combo. It just looks beautiful.
And it looks good up on a pole.
You think it looks good, but I got the 20-inch Vossen wheels with 37-inch tires on it. Sits pretty proper for being a stock tire size.
All right, on to our Rally Ranger. You guys know we love Rangers around here, so it only made sense to get a rally version of it and properly jump it. But the suspension does not move a whole lot, so pretty rough ride. We still gotta get that dialed in, but the thing rips for what it is. It's got a 302 Ford motor in it, fully custom tube chassis in the rear, completely stripped out interior with removable steering wheel, wrench as a shifter, and racing seats with harnesses. So this thing is really cool. It's still got a little bit that needs to be done to it, but as far as being a Baja Rally Ranger, it's a great place to start.
This is my 2012 Scion TC. This is actually my first car. A lot of people are like, oh, did you buy just a car that was the same color? This is actually my first car. It has has been through more than I think any car ever should be. Even with 3 owners, it has been beat on its entire life. I got it back this summer, and I had plans to kind of rebuild it, fix up the bumper that I broke 5 years ago, and honestly, restore it to its former glory is my plan. But money's a little tight with other vehicles I've been purchasing, and honestly, I just don't really have the time to tinker with it, so I'm just happy to have it now in storage.
Yeah, it used to actually be a part of the intro that played before every video.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this TC did quite a bit for building the channel, you know?
It ripped way harder than a TC should.
Yeah.
Wait, we wouldn't be here without this TC, dude.
I think your back wheels have about half as many miles as the front wheels on that thing.
For certain.
2 Nardo gray cars in a row. We got the BMW Hot Dog. I got this car from my dad. My dad passed away from cancer 5 years ago or so, and this was his car. He had a convertible and he gave it to me, and I was stoked. So again, it's like one of those cars like I can't get rid of. You guys should have seen it. I'll pop up a picture of how it looked when he gave it to me. I lowered it, put ground effects on it, put wheels on it, painted the wheels, wrapped it. So if you look at it, it doesn't look like a 2006, but I'm starting to run into the problems of owning an old BMW. The headlights quit working, the soft top convertible quits working, so like starting to get kind of expensive. We use it to shoot rollers all the time, like it's still a trusty rig. Yeah, I don't know, it's like kind of my baby. So again, probably gonna have to get a storage unit for all these cars, but I really do love this car.
All right, to another truck in the fleet. This is our Dodge Ram 2500 Cummins Mega Cab. So it's got the extended cab, which is great for when you always have a large crew rolling with you. So we linked up with Custom Offsets, threw a 4-inch BDS lift on it with some new wheels and tires, 37-inch tires. Pretty beefy setup. It's a tall truck to get in and out of. So this is basically the company work truck. So if we need to pull anything, or if anyone needs to go somewhere for running a company errand, this is what you take. A kid ran into the side of it when we were in Glamis. We kind of just felt bad for him, so we didn't take his insurance or anything. Stuff happens, but for the most part, this thing has been great to us. And then down below here, we got my Ford Raptor 2020. It's just bone stock. Not really a whole lot to talk about with it. It needs new tires, and I have an aftermarket antenna on it. So,
Oh, dude, look at that little thing.
it's pretty highly modified. Just honestly, I don't want to modify it or change anything about it because every vehicle that I hop in is highly modified. So there's something nice about just having something stock that rides nice, starts all the time, and nothing ever breaks on it.
All right, these are my 2 Hummers from completely different worlds, completely different eras of vehicles, honestly. We'll start with the electric one, this one down here. I just got it a few days ago and I absolutely love it. It's got like 1,000 horsepower, it's got 4-wheel steer, crab walk, all the really cool features. In Hummer fashion, it's actually the least efficient EV ever made, so it doesn't really go all that far on a charge, but this is actually, I'm probably one of the first like 200 people to have it, which is not a flex. Typically, the Hummers that have been put out are in white, so this is actually the first one I saw in this color, and I really do love it. It's honestly really, really nice to drive. That one, on the other hand, was a nightmare to drive. I bought it last winter as a good winter beater. It let me down many times. The brakes failed, the 4-wheel drive went out, the heater didn't work all that well. I tried to sell it and no one would buy it. So we turned it into a pontoon and drove it around on the lake, and ever since then, things have started to look up for it, honestly. To memorialize it, we put it on a 16-foot pole for everyone to see in the whole neighborhood that drives by.
I'd say the most interesting part about this is when we put it up there, we didn't put the windows up or the sunroof. It's been raining, it's gonna snow, like I'm sure there's some bird nests in there. If we ever do decide to take it down and, you know, go boating again, it's gonna be pretty gross inside.
It's kind of just like a bird sanctuary now.
We've had this idea, it's kind of sketchy because it's not welded up there, it's just sitting on these posts, but we want to like throw a rope ladder up there and climb up it and have it basically be like a tree house. I don't know if it would fall, like I don't know exactly how on the balancing point it is, because that'd be bad if you were up there and it fell, but it would be cool, so maybe we'll do that in the future.
All right, back here tucked away, we've got our Ford Excursion extended limo. So it was basically our Sprinter van for getting the entire crew around before we had our Sprinter van. So we've had a lot of really good nights in this thing and a couple of really good video bits. The last thing that we did was the wine night, and if you look in here and you smell in here, you can probably smell it through the camera. I'm pretty sure this is just mouse haven now. She still runs, but we don't really know what to do with it because the inside's kind of totaled out after spaghetti and wine night.
I think wine night was the perfect send-off for this thing.
We're like those people that we never get rid of anything. We just go park it in the woods. Like, this thing will probably be here for forever. In like 60 years, we're like, yeah, there's this old limo parked in the woods.
I always wondered why people did that, and now we are those people.
I don't think they were doing it with the same reasons as us, though.
We just have a hard time parting. And also, in 5 years, when we're still making YouTube videos, we'll come up with an idea and we'll be like, yo, we still got that limo out back. Let's get that thing going.
What do we got here, Mike?
We got quite possibly one of the oddest vehicles of the crew here, my water truck. Bought this truck from a buddy for 3 grand. It doesn't get a whole lot of use, but it's fun to use on the track. We water the track with it every once in a while. I think it's like a 1979
C50.
Chevrolet C50.
It's the first vehicle for Mike's new company, his watering service over here. CJ was nice enough to get him this logo and name made for it after a late night in Vegas. We woke up to Mike pissing on one of the beds, and we were nice enough to tell the world about it and make it into a business for him.
Yeah.
All right, making our way into the toy section of the tour. First up, we've got our Scootski. This thing is built on a 400 Suzuki moped right now, and then it's just cut out from the bottom side of it. So it's still fully functioning, road legal moped, and it's registered as such, but we used to actually have 2 of these things. Initially, we had a 125 in both of them, and they blew up within the video. So Big Wrench put quite a bit of work into it, so we didn't want to just scrap it completely, and she lives on to see another day. Next over here, we've got the 6-foot-tall pit bike. So underneath it, this is a normal size pit bike, a CRF 110, and then up here is a CRF 110, basically on stilts. It is incredibly stable for it being 6 feet tall. Evan can mob this thing pretty good. I think he's even wheelied it a little bit. It looks pretty sweet, and you're not sure what you're looking at when it's coming at you. And then on with weird pit bike contraptions over here, we've got a tandem pit bike with 1 person steering in the front and then 1 person in the rear running the throttle. It's made to build some teamwork, some chemistry between the riders. So Evan runs the back, Mike's runs the front, and it's just a good bike to do a little bit of pit bike training on. Continuing on with weird pit bike contraptions again, we've got the tandem side-by-side pit bike, 4-wheeler pit bike, whatever you want to call it, where both of them have throttles, and the best way to steer it is you got to be on the exact same page to go straight. The boys figured this one out pretty good, so they can wheelie this one, jump it, and again, just another weird pit bike contraption that takes pit bikes that are already cool and makes them cooler. Our mechanics, Big Wrench and Little Wrench Gavin, are some of the best in the business, and we've really tested their capabilities and their weird specialties with all these different builds, and I guess you'll see that as we continue on with the tour. But these 3 are kind of just proof of, you know, just like a weird idea and then making it into reality that works actually really well. All right, on to our CF Moto Papios. These are 126 cc's, and they're a lot of fun. We threw knobby tires on a couple of them so you can mob them off road, and they actually wheelie really, really well. So they're kind of just fun to just wheelie around. You're not going anywhere fast, but it's a good time when you are riding them. And then over here, we've got the CLX 700 street bike, again from CF Moto. They hooked it up. This thing's just a nice street cruiser. Mike's pit bike, inverted front suspension, rear swing arm. He's got pretty much everything that you can do to that thing.
So I have more money in parts on this bike than the whole bike costs. I don't recommend it. That's all I gotta say.
This is my Raptor 700R, which we put an R6 motor in. 125 horsepower, it's fast, it's scary. I haven't quite mastered it. We have some plans for it to make it a little bit better. It's currently a twist throttle. I'd like to get it over to a thumb throttle, and we're gonna really upgrade this thing to V2, so I'm pretty excited for that. I think it does 60 in first gear, so it's really, really hard to ride.
And it took us like 6 months to do because it was pretty tricky just making it work, being that we took the motor out of a crashed crotch rocket. It took a lot of fabrication to get it to where it's at.
Definitely will say that this is one of the coolest vehicles in the fleet.
On to our Yamaha Banshee. When we first bought this thing, it was just a narrow, old school Banshee that honestly ran like garbage. So we wanted to modernize it a little bit, make it more of a track vehicle, which normally people don't do with Banshees. So we widened it out, threw really good suspension on it, and made it run really good.
All right, moving on to our YZ250 big wheel. So this is kind of like a play on old school. There used to be big wheels back in the day, and this is like the race version of that.
When the old guys that used to have big wheels back in their day walk in here, they always love to see this. Speaking of old school bikes made modernized, this is my CRF 450 RX that we converted into a 3-wheeler. This thing is really cool, really fast. It's always cool to see this thing ripping with the old school 3-wheelers as well. And then sticking with 3-wheelers, over here, we've got our 2006 Honda Valkyrie. That's just a massive, massive motorcycle that somebody else actually 3-wheeler converted, and then we off-road converted it from there. So this thing is like pretty much on its 3rd rendition of what it's supposed to be. In the places that we've taken it, it is so out of its element. And like any 3-wheeler, it has also ended up rolling. Yeah, our friend Gavin, the 3-wheeler guy, is really the only one that can tame such a big beast like this. All right, up next, we've got our 450 motor converted shifter cart. So over here, we've got a motor out of a YZ 450F dirt bike that's actually big bored and tuned up quite a bit. We're excited in a couple of weeks to get this thing out on the ice, so stay tuned for the videos like that.
So really cool, because we've always wanted to do that with a shifter cart, being that in the very early days of our channel, our first big video was with a shifter cart, so we've always loved them.
We've got a soft spot for shifter carts. Speaking of soft spots for shifter carts, Ken?
Speaking of shifter carts, this is my shifter cart that has the toilet swap mod on it. Doesn't get a lot of use, but when it does, it comes in handy.
You can take a dump at 70 miles per hour on this thing.
It's not the most pleasant dump, but it does the job.
This thing is one of my favorite shifter carts. CR125 again, just decked out. Like the frame, the brakes, the radiator, everything.
This thing is like everything that you could ask for out of a shifter cart. Shifter carts are hands down the craziest driving experience out of all the vehicles that we have. Nothing gets your heart racing quite like a shifter cart goes.
It's basically the cheapest race car you can get into.
If you're wondering where our OG shifter cart is, it's still up on the wall here. Hasn't fallen down yet.
Well, after the first time.
Yeah. Oh, we made sure of that.
Yeah, we resecured it and it's up on the wall. All right, moving on to the 2 giveaway units that we're doing right now. So any $5 that you spend on Cboystv.com gets you entered to win both of these or $20,000 cash. You have until December 1st if you do want to win them, so head on over to the website after this. But these things are brand new, never been ridden, as fresh as they come. We threw a front bumper, some Nerf bars, an exhaust on this, and exhaust on this, just to freshen them up, make them even cooler than they already are. And one person's going home with them. So if you want to win them, check out the website and pick up some gear. All right, now moving on to our 2007 Yamaha R6 crotch rocket. Like every other crotch rocket that we've had, we've thrown knobby tires on it and taken it to places that it should not be. So it started out on our first R6. The plan was to just take the motor out of it and put it into Ryan's 4-wheeler that we showed you earlier. But before we did that, we were like, we should see what we can do with this thing before stripping the motor out of it. And that's kind of how the whole R6 idea was birthed. So Evan has ridden that thing in the woods, up Hell's Pass, in Moab, Glamis sand dunes, in the snow, on the ice, and this is actually the 4th R6 that we've gone through. Everywhere that we've taken them is obviously extremely hard on them, but we always want to keep an R6 in the fleet because these things are better dirt bikes than most dirt bikes are dirt bikes. RIP to the shroud on the side. We can thank Ken for that one. Everyone's had a, their own piece in destroying an R6.
Over here, we got our watercross sled. This seems to be like my specialty. I don't know why. I just like happen to be the one thing I'm good at. And basically, it's just a mod sled. I don't know exactly what's all done to it, but it runs on 110. It's an absolute ripper, and it is, in my opinion, the perfect sled for skipping water. And it works fantastic. It's been sunk a number of times, but it continues to work. You can literally just pull it out, pull the plugs, crank it over a couple times, and she's ready to rip again.
This thing's been all over the country too. It's been on the lakes in Minnesota and the ocean in Florida.
Yeah, I can proudly say I'm one of the few people to water skip a snowmobile across the ocean in Florida. All right, so over here we have our 2 vintage CR250 2-strokes. We got a 1982 and a 1988. These things are mint. Whoever spent the time restoring them did a fantastic job because they look fantastic and they run fantastic as well. Evan's actually able to ride this guy, like it's a modern day two-stroke. You can hit jumps, you can do wheelies. It literally does not hold him back in the slightest, which I think is pretty cool because a lot of people think you need like the newest, greatest, best thing if you want to be at the top of your game, but he can rip harder than anyone else still on a 40-year-old bike. So real testament to his skill. I don't know how much we'll really ride these things, but we're gonna hold on to them just because they're really cool and they have a good story behind them.
They really are just like pieces of art. We're gonna try and take good care of them, but also enjoy them and ride them in the process.
And then up here, we just kind of have some basic stock machines. So my four-wheeler, YFZ 450, our four-wheeler, another YFZ 450, Mike's CRF 150, his YZF 250R, Evan's KTM, and then Ben's CRF 250. And then over here, we have the bike that we gifted Evan a while ago. It looks way shittier now.
For all you guys asking, this is the Twisted T bike. Everyone's
Yeah.
what happened to the Twisted T bike? He put new plastics on it.
He rode it.
He big boarded it, and it rips now.
So we surprised him with this before he was ever actually like on full time with us. He just was a good friend to us, so we wanted to give him a new pit bike because he had a clapped one, and now he has another clapped one. All right, so we're over at the farm now, our other compound. This thing is a 1968 classic Mustang that was put onto a Chevy Blazer frame, turned into a mud truck. Never really worked that well as a mud truck. Every time we seemed to turn the key, it broke, so we just kind of gave up on it, parked it in the trees. It looks cool. I'm sure some people are gonna be mad that, you know, a classic car like this is being treated this way, but we don't know what else to do with it.
It's got the same story as our limo right now. One day we might want it and we might use it for something, but until then, it sits in the trees.
But if we head over into our barn, we like to call it, this is where we park stuff that we also might need in 3 years. So we have these wet bikes here. So we have 2 of these things. We're trying to sell them. Really cool story on them. They were basically the jet ski before jet skis. James Bond had one of them in like an old movie. So anyways, we saw them on Facebook Marketplace, so we had to give them a try.
But we got them running good and they're for sale. Somebody take them off of our hands.
We got 4 golf carts. These things get used all the time. These are work rigs, like you just use them to get around. A few of them were acquired from golf courses after we did reckless golfing. The other few were just acquired because we love golf carts from Facebook Marketplace. Hovercraft, this thing's sweet.
This is arguably the most neglected vehicle in the fleet.
This is like the same thing as those wet bikes. Like, it's cool that this was a thing, and for the time when they were a thing. This is from the late 80s, and I guess they used to race them back in the day. This one's pretty slow, but it works good. You can drive it on land, on water, pretty much over a lot of things. Ryan had a pretty gnarly crash on it too.
All right here, we've got 3 new Polarises all wrapped up and waiting for snow. We have a great relationship with Polaris. They are kind enough to hook us up with a couple of rigs every season, and it's an absolute dream come true. We've been riding snowmobiles since we were literally little babies, so being Minnesotans, really cool to work with Polaris. We've got a couple more, so stay tuned and we'll show you the rest of the fleet. Over here, we've just got a couple, you know, old classic rigs that we've just filmed videos with over the years. So XLT right here, another XLT, a 440 Edge Pro X snowmobile. Right here, we have a one of the R6s that we threw a snow bike kit on. We took it out into the mountains, blew it up like 15 miles into the backcountry, and we had to literally hand drag it out. So right here she sits. I think we're gonna have a rendition too, so stay tuned for that coming up. A couple more sleds here. Oh, one of the other Scootskis that blew up. Like we said, we hate throwing stuff away. One day we might do something with it, but until then, she sits broken right here. A couple of the Jeeps that still actually run. So we got 4 of these a couple weeks ago. We found out actually how good of units they are. They fly pretty well, so it'd be a shame to get rid of them while they still run. All right, on to the jet skis. So this right here is a one of very few Evo Jet, it's called. It's built on a Sea-Doo Spark hull right here, and then it's got a race seat in it. It feels like a shifter cart driving it, and then the motor's tuned up to have a little bit more horsepower. Again, really fun, but we don't get a whole lot of use out of this thing. It's still in the air what we're gonna do with it, but we're thinking about selling it. If you guys want to buy it, hit us up in our email. We'll link it down below. But yeah, this one might be going for sale as well.
This is our fleet of Sea-Doo Sparks. We ride them in the summer. We also ride them very early in the spring on the ice.
I have to add, that's the best part about these, is that you can ride them, you can beat the crap out of them, and they're fine. I would never buy a normal jet ski after these Sparks.
All right, on to the rest of the snowmobile fleet here. They look a little weird sitting here without any snow. On this first one, this is a Chaos 9R. This is a mountain snowmobile, so it's really only meant for deep snow. snow and being out in the mountains. This thing's got literally everything that you can do to it.
I just have one question though. Does Mike always dress like a snowmobile?
Yeah, I do.
Dude.
I'm obsessed with this thing. I'm so excited for winter. Then we have Evans mountain sled over here. This is a 146, so it's a little bit of a shorter track, but this thing is still a weapon.
Shorter track and an even shorter tunnel, so it's basically just meant to wheelie.
And then we have our Midwest weapon here. This is the 146 Boost. So this is factory turbo.
A lot of horsepower, a lot of speed.
This is my 850 switchback assault. It's almost the exact opposite of Micah's. I've only got aftermarket bumpers and that's about it.
But you're planning a big build this year, aren't you? I heard.
This is like Ken's car. Couple tasteful mods, but mostly stock. I mean, they're great stock, so you can leave them stock. You don't have to do anything to them. Most of these things are stock. Over here, XCR 850. This is a ditch banger right here. So if you want to hop on this thing and go and bang some approaches and rip some trails, you take this. Over here, this is my Chaos 850 mountain snowmobile. Mike's other Chaos 850 mountain snowmobile. Like we said,
Dude,
you know, with the cars, he doesn't sell anything. I don't know why do you need two of these?
I have a problem. 850 twin pipe. I don't know. It makes special noises here.
Yeah, fire it up. Let's hear it.
Oh my God!
I saw that one coming.
That was so close. That would have hurt so bad. Right at knee level too.
And then we have another. This is a 129. So this is the shortest sled that Polaris makes.
850 VR1 Matrix chassis. Absolute ripper.
This is my Polaris General. I call it my luxury rig for driving around filming because it's got an enclosed cab with heat. It's really nice to be able to hop in it, go help film, and then have a warm place to store camera gear, stuff like that.
All right, on to our Polaris Razor Turbo S. This thing's a 4-seater. We call it the school bus, but it's really, really fun. It jumps really well. It rips in the sand dunes really well. And we've got this thing pretty done up. So we've got a cage, aftermarket cage on the top of it, light bars on the front and side, a winch on it, a tiger tail on the back, and a really cool wrap and a couple other bells and whistles. And then we also have a new 2-seater Razor. It's a Pro R. We totaled it in the first like 15 miles that we had it, but our friends from Side by Side blog took it, straightened it back out for us, and then threw a turbo on it and a bunch of other cool parts for it. We're just waiting to get that thing back, so hopefully it gets back in the next couple days and we can rip it around here. And then over here we have a 2023 Bobcat T76, the absolute best skid steer that we can get, all thanks to our friends over at Swanson Equipment. So Swanson actually owns this thing and they're nice enough to let us use this, and it gets used seriously every single day. And it's also an RC car, so you can run it from the comfort of a truck, but it's also very comfortable in there. But if you wanted to, you could run it from your phone.
It's never let us down, and we seriously use this thing every day. So big shout out to Swanson.
All right, last but not least, the two vehicles of the fleet that of course are broken. If you guys saw the last video when we went to Glamis, we took these 2 race sleds into the sand dunes, a place that they should not be, and we found out why. This one over here ended up getting sank in the lake that forms like every 50 years, but who can say that they water skipped a snowmobile in the sand dunes? So that's pretty cool. Still gotta get that thing fixed. The one over here is just classic blown up because it was being ridden in the sand dunes. So until we get around to fixing them, they sit broken. But yeah, that's it for the vehicle tour. If you guys made it to this point in the video, thank you. We wouldn't have any of these vehicles if it wasn't for you guys watching. We started making YouTube videos about 8 years ago with nothing, and we've grown to what this is, and not a day goes by that we are not thankful for it. So thank you guys so much for making this a reality, and we'll just keep on going. Hopefully see you guys in the vehicle tour next year and see what changes.